Hey guys, what's up and welcome to the channel. I am the Shotgun Shogun. If you're new here, welcome, welcome. If you're not new here, well, welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about gear, everybody's favorite thing. This is where my editor puts in the yay or wow sound as we talk about gear. Now, everybody has done a video on gear and how Star Rail gear relates to Honkai Impact or to Genshin. We're going to be using a lot of Epic 7 terms here, well, because I'm an Epic 7 player. So this is the Shotgun Shogun guide to gear for Honkai Star Rail based on Epic 7 terms and stuff. So, welcome. Where do you get gear? How do you get gear? What is the gear for the game? We're going to be talking about all of that. So let's talk about what the gear is and what the slots are first. So in this game, they're called relics instead of gear or anything like that. So they're relics, but let's just be real, they're gear. So now you have your hat. This is your headpiece. You're going to have a ring, chest piece, boots, and then 2 accessories. Now, if you've watched my other video on an Epic 7 player's guide to Honkai Star Rail, you will know that I did mention that there are 4 pieces of right side gear. And if you like sets, they've got sets on sets on sets. But first off, we're going to take a look here at the headpiece. So to put it into regular terms, this is going to be your helmet or your chest piece. It'll be your helmet from Epic 7. So main stat is always going to be flat HP. As you can see, just bounce around through here. They're all going to be flat HP. Now, substat wise, well, first off, rarity, right? So you've got 3-star, 4-star, 5-star relics. So rare, epic, legendary, just because, well, that's the typical rarities that you get. So you see yellow, boom, that's a legendary, fantastic. You got a legendary piece of gear. Now, each of these are going to have different ranges of main stats. So a 3-star will start at 67. Do I even have any of those? I do down here, but I have them leveled up. So they're at 281. Plus 9 is the max for a 3-star. Plus 12 is the max for a 4-star. And plus 15 is the max for a 5-star. So legendary. This one's at plus 12. As you can see, this one tops out at 469 and they start at 90. Legendary ones start at 112 and cap out at 705. So those will cap out at 705. So this way, it's your helmet. You're going to be rolling substats. Now, legendaries, I believe, can start with either 3 or 4 substats. Rares are, I think, 1 to 2 substats, and purples are 2 to 3 substats. So the more substats that you start with, obviously, just like Epic 7, it will roll till you get 4 substats, right? So if you have a blue piece of gear, you put plus 6 into it, you're going to get 2 substats, and then you're going to increase one of those substats at plus 9. So with a purple piece of gear, your best bet is to start with 3 substats. So that way at plus 3, you roll a 4th substat, and then you get 3 increases into your substats. Legendaries, they're going to have better base stats and stuff like that, but you still want to start with a 4 just so you get more rolls in there. So that's a little bit about each of the pieces of gear, rarities, substats, stuff like that. It's going to be very similar to a lot of the gearing that you do in Epic 7, especially when it comes to substats, when it comes to stuff like that. So that is going to be your helmet. Always going to be rolling HP. And actually, yeah, it's more like 85 versus 70 gear than purple versus red. Don't forget to mention sometimes a purple piece has 2 or 3, and yellow, I did that. Yeah, I did that, Shinigami. Okay, so then you're going to go to your hands. This is going to be the equivalent of your weapon because it's just going to be flat attack. These are always going to be flat attack. These are going to roll a 3-stars 33 to 140, purples 45 to 234, and then a 5-star, the legendary, is going to be 56 to 352 when it's maxed out in terms of attack. So obviously, you know, you'd be thinking, well, why would I ever enhance blue or purple gear? Well, it's because, well, you kind of need to have that in order to, you know, to get to the yellow gear, but we'll tell you where to farm all that stuff here shortly. Right. So again, this is going to be that. Now, when we move over here to your chest piece, to your body, this is where we're going to start getting the variable main stats. Now, a body can roll HP percent, attack percent, defense percent, crit rate, crit damage, outgoing healing, and effect hit rate, which we're just going to use as effectiveness, since we're talking about, you know, in terms of Epic 7, right? So the interesting piece here is that you do have outgoing healing boost. Now imagine if we had this in Epic 7 where your healers healed for more healing based on a set. That would actually be kind of neat. Not only that, but that would then also work with the 2-piece set here, which, by the way, you got 2-piece and 4-piece sets, and we'll go over all of the sets as soon as I'm done talking about the different types of gear here. But you do have the 2-piece and the 4-piece, so that works with the outgoing healing by 10%, in terms of also having your extra healing from your main stat. Now, one of the things for a lot of damage dealers, you're going to want crit damage or crit rate chest. Your tanks are going to be wanting HP or defense, and it depends on attack, right? On what you want to put that on. Now, your debuffers going to want effectiveness. So those are the stats, the main stats that you can roll on your chest piece. Now, just like in Epic 7, and I know you love it, set has to match the main stat, and the substats have to match the set and the main stat. So there's a whole bunch of layers of gear RNG already on just the 3rd piece of gear that we got into. Now, you can click off of this, comment down below that you hate gear RNG, how you hate this system and everything like that, and then thumbs down the video, and I will completely understand, because I also think that it's not really that great. It'll be a big gripe for me for sure. Moving over here to the boots, though, Epic 7 players, pause the video right this second and tell me what the most important stat on a boot is. I'll give you a couple of seconds. If you looked at the one that's on the screen right now and you said, Shotgun Shogun, it's defense main percent stat for my green Armin, I would be like, well, thank you very much, Rifaru. But what about the normal person who actually plays the game with anything other than green Armin, C Armin, and Bad Cat Armin, and doesn't have 15 different Armins built on defense boots? That's right. It's going to be speed main stat boots. So boot wise, you can roll speed, break effect, defense percent, attack, and HP percent. Speed boots are going to be very, very important for your buffers, for your DPS, and stuff like that. So unless you're using some sort of CR manipulation with like Bronya or Ting Yun, or some sort of speed manipulation, again with Ting Yun and other characters, speed main stat is going to be very important, because the only other DPS main stat that you can get on a boot is attack. Now, something I forgot to mention when we were talking about the chest piece is that these substats, or these main stats, have a range as well, and it's going to be very similar. So for all of these, like for HP and attack, you're going to have 4.1 to 17.2% on a 3-star, 5.5 to 28.7 on a 4-star, and 6.9, nice, to 43.2% on the 5-star. So 5-star gear is going to be actually nutty when it comes to overall stats, because, well, it's better. So that means it gets more stats. That's just the way it is. It's orange, yellow. It's actually like transitionary orange, yellow there. You know, they wanted to like do something like with that, you know, with the colors. But these are going to be good because they're better. Now, speed is going to roll on a 3-star, 2 to 11. A 4-star, 3 to 16. As you can see, I've got 16 here. And then on a 5-star, It's going to start at 1 and then go all the way up to 25, which I don't think that that's true. That's just what this chart is telling me, uh, because I don't believe it's going to start at 1. Regardless, you're going to probably plus 15 a legendary speed boot almost instantaneously because, well, there's a lot of things and sets and stuff like that that rely on you having a certain amount of speed in order to kick off another thing. We'll get into all of those here in a little bit as well. There's a lot of different cool layers of things when it comes to gearing as well. So that's going to be really important. Again, you do have HP, you do have defense, and you do have break effect. Now, break effect is real huge. That's like, let's just ignore the 3 and 4 stars, or else I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of things, right? Legendary break effect is 12.9 to 81% break effect. That's enormous. Defense, which apparently is not weighted as much as HP here because it's a little bit higher. So I wonder if they have to like cope with defense being higher to make up an effective EHP for HP. We're going to math that eventually in the future. That's something good to note. I need to write that down to remind myself to see whether or not defense is worth more than HP. But then some things are HP scaling, some things are defense scaling. Regardless, defense goes from 8.6 to 54% on those boots. Now, your accessories. Yeah, I hope you were excited about those 2 right side pieces of gear. Accessories. We're going to start talking about planar spheres. Now, planar spheres are interesting because not only can they give you like the 3 base stats, HP, attack, and defense, but these are where you're going to be getting your very specific elemental, your elemental damages here. This is going to give you physical damage, fire damage, ice, lightning, wind, quantum, and imaginary damage. Now, I want you to look at this right here. This is a really good piece of gear because it's got a lot of crit damage and it's got a huge imaginary boost. Now I do want to, and I haven't been able to find this yet. Well, one, because we're in the closed beta and I don't think that everybody's really gotten their, like, their nerd glasses out to like break down the damage formula. I'm interested to see how imaginary boost stacks up versus just raw attack damage. Like, where is it in the calculator of how much benefit is imaginary damage boost over attack? Because attack goes from 6.9 to 43.2, whereas your elemental damages go from 6.2 to 38.8. So it almost feels like the imaginary damage is going to be something that's tacked on to the end, where it's like after everything has been calculated, then imaginary damage is going to be doing more based on all of that calculation. I haven't been able to find anything like that yet so far in my searches. If anybody does have that resource and wants to dump it into the comment section, I would be absolutely ecstatic to jump in on that. So that is going to be your planar spheres. We get that from a completely different place than all of your other gear. So realistically, if you think about it, with this last one that also has a variable main stat, you're losing, in terms of Epic 7, you're losing 1 left side to gain 1 right side. So you have 2 left side pieces of gear and 4 right side pieces of gear. So, yeah, it is what it is, man. So this one is going to be HP percent, attack percent, defense percent, break effect, and energy regen rate. Now, energy is what you need for your ultimates, so having energy regen is really good for people who need to be ultimate looping, stuff like that. If you don't really need like HP percent for bulk, which a lot of times, I'll be real with you, you kind of do, especially on like some of the harder maps where maybe you don't have 2 healers and you need 2 teams. So having a bit of extra bulk is really good. Again, you do have HP scalers in the game. Attack is going to be probably your primary one when it comes to your damage dealers. Defense, again, for your tanks and your healers, your buffers, stuff like that. Break effect is going to be really big as well for people that you bring in. Usually that's on like a debuffer. You use break effect as well to break down their break bars, which that's a whole different thing. And probably is going to be a completely different video on like breaking down the overall mechanics and how the game functions. This is just going to be about gear. So now that we've been talking for, 15, however many minutes after editing has been done, about just the types of gear and the main stats, we're going to get into the substats. Now we've mentioned we're just going to use legendary ones when it comes to substats because, well, we've already talked about that, all of these. But one thing to point out here is that substat wise, you do have a different range of substats based on your relic level, right? So if we take, just say, flat HP, a 3-star relic has a 20 to 25 range, whereas a 5-star relic has a 33 to 42. So your substats will always be better on a 5-star than even the best substat on a 3-star. This is going to be a really big thing as well. So even if, let's say, you min roll attack percent on a 5-star relic, still going to be better than a max roll on a 3-star relic. And actually, it's going to be better than a max roll on a 4-star relic. So really, the end game is getting them Legos. You got to get them Legos. You got to get BIS. You got to get the plus 15. Not only that, but when you can plus 15 it, well, then you're going to have more overall substats as well. But that aside, let's talk about what the substats are. So, flat HP, flat attack, flat defense, percent HP, percent attack, percent defense, crit rate, crit damage, effectiveness, effect res, break effect, and speed. That's right. Yeah, so all of these things are available in there. Now, one thing to note here, FRES can't be a main stat. We went through all of the pieces of gear. Effect resist cannot be a main stat. So there are certain things where you do need effect resist in this game. In which case, you do need to get some effect resist on some of your pieces of gear. So that is really what it is. The ranges that these can roll here is the 5-star relics HP 33 to 42%, or 30 flat HP is 33 to 42. Flat attack 16 to 21. Defense is 16 to 21 as well. So when it comes to flat stats, it does seem like it skews a little bit heavier towards the HP than it does in defense on this one, whereas in percent wise, the flat or the percent HP is the same as the percent attack, 3.4 to 4.3, same with attack, and defense is 4.3 to 5.4 in this case. Crit rate's 2.5 to 3.2. Crit damage is 5.1 to 6.4. Effectiveness 3.4 to 4.3%. Effect res is 3.4 to 4.3. And then break effect is 6.4 to 8.7. And speed is just a flat 2. That's right. So there's no, if you roll speed on a legendary piece of gear, it is 2. And if you roll into speed, it is 2. And if you roll into speed again, guess what? It's 2. There's no speed. There's no speed stuff. There's no, oh man, I rolled 5 speed. Oh, I rolled 1 speed. Now on a 3-star relic, you can only roll 1 speed. And on a 4-star relic, you can roll 1 to 2 speed. But when you're upgrading the fantastic Legos that you get, if you try to hit that speed, so you can go Sonic fast, so you can be a cleave demon in the Honkai of Star Rails, it's only 2. That's right. That is right. So, yeah. So that is the substats for the game overall. Now, where do you get these pieces? I'll tell you after I talk to you about well, actually, you know what? We can look at where you get the pieces and talk about the sets. So as you go through the game, you're going to unlock different caverns of corrosion. So you're going to get all of these from caverns of corrosion. Now, 2 sets drop from every cavern of corrosion. Now, the best one, in my opinion, is going to be the Path of Drifting, but we'll break each of these down as we go. So, first up is going to be Hunter of Glacial Forest. Now, this is a 2 and 4 piece set right here. This increases your ice damage. Now, 4 piece, after the wearer unleashes their ultimate, their crit damage is increased by 25% for 2 turns. So that's the 4 piece set right there. And then we also have the wind damage. So if you want to focus on increasing your ice and wind damage, this is going to be the one. Now, I kind of like this because there's only 2 pieces in each one. And you can kind of hone in on what it is that you really want to do. Now, a lot of these are going to be the same, right? Wind damage and ultimate damage. Now, this one increases your CR push by 25% after you use your ultimate. So this is going to allow for a lot of looping. Right now, if we go down here, this is going to be Knight of Purity. This is going to increase your defense, and 4 piece is going to increase the max damage that can be absorbed by shields created by the wearer by 20%. Now, this is going to be good on people like the fire main character, puts up shields. It's going to be good on March. This is going to increase the overall shield that you can absorb. So, like a lot of later stuff, man, you really, really have to have some damage mitigation. So putting this on your main character is not a bad idea if you want to have juicier, beefier, thicker shields. So this one is pretty good, followed up by Band of Sizzling Thunder. Now, these look really cool because those sunglasses are badass as hell. I would rock those myself. This is going to increase your lightning damage by 10%. 4 piece. When the user uses a skill, it increases their attack by 25% for 1 turn. So that's going to be really big if you just have, let's say you have your ultimate almost ready. You rock the skill, you rock your S2, bam, 25% increased attack on the lightning. Boom, right into the ultimate. This would be really, really good. Oh my God, this would be so good on Lightning Daddy. You know, on Lion Lightning Daddy. Oh my God, this would be such a badass set. Because he just pops his skill, does AoE damage, and then just slams his ultimate with 25% increased attack.
Bruh.
Dead. Everything. This next one's going to be probably my favorite one. Just because, well, it's not this set. This set's pretty good. Don't get me wrong. Outgoing healing by 10%. 4 piece. At the beginning of the battle, you get an extra skill point. Fantastic. Is really good on Natasha, on, Dragon Daughter, stuff like that. But this right here, boys, is the K-Kona Hell Yeah speed set. That's right. Increases your attack by 10%. 4 piece increases your speed by 6% and your basic attack damage by 10%. This is going to be really, really good baseline on a lot of damage dealers that you need to go fast and hit hard. Because that's going to increase your attack by 10%. It's going to increase your basic attack damage by 20% because, well, you'll have 10% from the 2 piece, then you'll have the 10% from the 4 piece. That's 20% to just your basic. Now, you are going to want to be probably using your skills a lot, but, if you have to use your base damage, this is going to be the set. Plus 6% speed is really, really big. Until you really start dialing in, you get speed substats on some stuff, you get speed boots, or you're not really too worried about, going fast. There's going to be a lot of interesting CR manipulation. There's no CR RNG. There's no speed RNG in this game. So you can easily have your buffer go, and then your damage dealers, and then your shield mitigation go all in a row. So you're going to be able to stagger things just perfectly to get things like, oh, this is my attack buffer. This is Bronya. She's going to push up. And then I need to make sure that my main character taunts everything and puts up shields before we go again type of deal. So it's going to be a little bit of strategy there. So you don't necessarily always have to have speed set depending on what type of characters and stuff like that you are running. So those are both really good. Now we come down here. This is the Streetwise Boxing one. This is your physical damage. After the wearer attacks or is hit, their attack increases by 5% for the rest of the battle, and this can go up to 5 times. So if you're using somebody like Big Dick Energy Shusheng, you hit a couple of times, you start looping because of your S3, your speed. Bam! All of a sudden, you got 25% increased attack and you have 10% physical damage. This is going to be pretty good for those heavy hitting physical damage dealers down the line. Now, this one, the Shooting Meteor, this is going to increase your break effect. And this is for people that are breaking the white bar over top of the enemy that adds in a whole lot of other effects. Now, again, that's a whole different video. And once that video is put out, then it'll probably be linked in the description whenever that comes out. It'll come out eventually. Right, 4-piece increases the wearer's break effect by 20% additional. When the wearer inflicts weakness break on an enemy, it regenerates 3 energy. So that's going to just be if you need to just lock somebody down. This is good on things like Asta, characters that overall aren't really high DPS, but they work really, really well at just chunking away those break bars. This is going to be, I feel like, a luxury set that maybe you use later on down the line. If you get some good pieces, maybe you get it while you're farming for physical. But I don't think this is going to be a priority set piece, regardless. We got more pieces, right? Guard of Wuthering Snow. This is going to reduce the damage taken by 8%. And at the beginning of the turn, if the wearer's HP is equal to less than 50% of their max HP, restores HP equal to 8% of their max HP and regenerates 5 energy. So that's a pretty good 4-piece right there. Genius of Brilliant Stars is going to increase your quantum damage. And then whenever you attack enemies with quantum weakness, ignores 25% of their defense. So, but the thing is you need to make sure that they have a weakness of quantum, or else you don't get the 25% defense pen. So that is Quantum Sele penetration set. Now, Firesmith of Lava Forging, fire damage, 4-piece, increases the wearer's skill damage by 12%. After unleashing their ultimate, increases the wearer's fire damage by 12% for the next attack. So this is a lot of extra damage on there. This is really good on like Himiko, stuff like that. And then the last one that we have, Wastelander of Banditry Desert. Increases imaginary damage by 10%. When attacking debuffed enemies, the wearer's crit rate is increased by 10%. If the enemy is imprisoned, then the wearer's crit damage is increased by 20%. This is insane on Welt, but I have been too lazy to farm this. Welt is just on my attack set. He's got some pretty good attack gear. I've just not farmed this, but this right here would be insane on Welt because not only are you doing 10% more damage, you have 10% crit rate if they're debuffed, which he puts debuffs up. That's crazy. Imprisonment on his talent, on his S3, increases your crit damage by 20%. Huge. Absolutely insane. Again, though, I don't know how the elemental damage is increased versus attack. So that's something I'll have to figure out down the line. So this is where you're going to be farming all of your gear. As you can see, it costs 40 Trailblazer energy, which you can get these, energy things, or you can refresh with your Stellar Jades, or you just wait for 17 hours, 12 minutes, and 50 seconds for all of it to come back. You do get quite a few pieces of gear whenever you run it, so that's not something that you should worry too much about, like, oh, well, I only get like 1 piece of gear or something along those lines. It's not. You get a couple of pieces of gear. Obviously, the higher level you are, the more gear that you're going to get, the more legendary gear you're going to get as you get into later game. So that's where you're going to, really be kind of like searching for better gear. I feel like once you start getting legendary gear, though, like you just upgrade it because, well, it's better than what you have by a million miles. And even if the substats aren't correct, you just level it up for base stat. You'll also get gear from your weekly raid bosses, your Echoes of War. Now, I did all 3 of these, and every time that I did this, I got at least 1 legendary piece of gear. Maybe different. Maybe I was just a luck sack. I don't know. But that is what that is. Now, you might be thinking, "Oh, well, hey, that's just where you get the 4 pieces. That's where you get your what about those other 2 pieces that you were talking about?" So that's where Simulated Universe is going to come in. Now, Simulated Universe has 8 different sets for your accessory, your 2-piece accessory. You have Space Sealing Station, increase the wearer's attack by 12%. When the wearer's speed reaches 120 or higher, the wearer's attack is increased by another 12%. This is where I was talking about how having certain stat thresholds increases other things. So you get the baseline 2-piece here, which is the attack by 12%. However, if your character increases their speed above 120, which actually isn't too hard, because if you slap speed boots on almost anybody, you get to 120 or higher. Their attack increases by another 12%. So that's a 2-piece for 24% increased attack. Now this one right here, Fleet of the Ageless, 2-piece increases the wearer's max HP by 12%. This is really good for tanks. Or support. Now the nice part about this is when the wearer's speed reaches 120 or higher, all allies attack increases by 8%. So you're going to want to put this on like your main character, your tank character, your buffers, your healer supports, because they're going to be a bit chunkier and they also give everybody else attack. So that's really, really good. The Talia Kingdom of Banditry 2-piece increases the wearer's break effect by 20%. If you get your speed to 145 or higher, it further increases your break effect by 28%. Now, if you're stacking this with like the break effect set, you've got break effect main chest piece, you know, you're just an absolute break monster. This could allow for some absolute fun, just like 1-0 break bar, villainry right there. I do think that this is kind of a niche set. Again, this would probably work well on like maybe like an Asta or somebody who is, well seasoned in breaking the bars. We have Springly, not even going to try. Not even gonna attempt that one. 2-piece increases the wearer's energy regeneration by 5%. Again, for more ultimate looping. When the wearer's speed breaches 145 or higher, the wearer's action is advanced forward by 50% immediately upon entering battle. As soon as you come in, bam, 50% CR, you're going first. Now, this is going to be really good on like a Bronya, Tingyun, somebody who needs to set up a whole bunch of like buffs for everybody else coming behind them. So this is going to be really good. And plus the other thing too, with energy regeneration, you really want to continuously use Tingyun's ultimate. You want to use Bronya's ultimate constantly. Yeah, constantly using those. So this is going to be an actually decent set for both of those characters. Not only that, but both of them should be really fast in the first place. So fantastic. Pan-Galactic Commercial Enterprise. This is Galactic, Galactic Enterprise. What does it do? It increases your hit rate. Now, this is going to be obviously used on debuffer. Meanwhile, the wearer's attack increases by an amount that is equal to 25% of effect hit rate up to a maximum of 25%. So this actually can work very well on like a debuffer to give them a little bit of extra damage, because typically debuffers are not super high damage dealers, right? So this is going to be able to supplement a little bit of that attack in place of using like an attack set, right? Now, this increases attack increases by an amount that's equal to 25% of the hit rate up to a maximum of 25%. So to get the full 25%, you have to have a hit rate of 100% in order to get that extra 25%. So this does give you 10% effect hit rate. So just by equipping this, you get what, 2.5% attack, which if you're equipping this, let's be real, you have more effect hit rate. You have base effect. I don't know if you have base effect. I'll have to look at that. But you're probably going to be stacking a little bit of other effect hit rate on your pieces of gear, and that just supplements a little bit of your attack so that you're not just completely dead weight in using that. Now, Celestial Differentiator increases the wearer's crit rate by 8%. This is really big because, well, crit rate is pretty big in the game. Crit main chest, crit substats, crit rate 8%. If you get to 80% or higher, your basic attack and skill damage increases by 20%. Now, this is pretty good in Simulated Universe because let's be real, in Simulated Universe, it's not really that hard to get to 80% crit rate with various blessings and stuff like that that you get in the game. And so this right here, when you're doing Simulated Universe, which is some of the harder content in the game, you are going to be, popping off with this extra attack, skill damage, as 20% right there. For the Belbog of the Architects, increases your defense by 15%. When your effect hit rate is 50% or higher, you gain an extra 15% defense. So this is going to be good if you want to be a chunky debuffer. You got to make sure that your debuffer is hitting those debuffs and staying alive, right? This could also work very well on your main character because, well, your main character scales off of defense. Maybe slap a little bit of residual effect hit rate on him in the substats, and then you get yourself an extra 15% defense, and you're landing the taunts. So that is something that you could be using on him as well. I do think that that's actually what I have on my main character, but I don't think I have a lot of effect hit on him. And then last, Inert Salsado. This is going to increase your crit rate by 8% as well. However, this one is a little bit easier to hit here. When your crit rate reaches 50% or higher, your ultimate and follow-up damage increases by 15%. So this is going to be really good for things like Himiko or Herta. Maybe somebody that, well, obviously you want to take advantage of both the ultimate and the follow-up damage. So both of those characters are very prime candidates for this. And it does have a little bit easier of a critical hit rate cap. So realistically, with like 8% critical hit rate on just this, if you were to use a critical rate chess piece, that's 32.4%. So that's 40.4% just off of a legendary critical rate chess piece and this piece of gear. So you only have to come up with another 10%, which if we were to look at the character, one of the things that I really like here, when you look at the stats, it will show you the base stats. So you have 5% base critical rate, because I don't think I have any. Actually, let me look at a character that is just does not have any gear whatsoever. So yeah, you have a 5% base critical rate and a 50% base critical damage. So you only need to come up with 5% critical hit rate substat in order to reach that threshold, which is not unreasonable on across all of your gear to get 5% critical hit rate, because in a substat critical hit rate on a 5-star 2.5 to 3.2, so you just need to land 2 minimum critical hit rates on any legendary piece of gear, and bam, you've already breached that threshold just off of that. Now, when it comes to getting those pieces of gear, you do have to play through Simulated Universe, and you will get a coffer at the end of after each boss, after each elite, that allows you to pull from those pieces of gear, from just these sets. So that is something that, that's how you do that. And again, you get a whole bunch of pieces of gear. It's 40 Trailblazer energy. Um, and so yeah. So that's pretty much the breakdown of all of the gear. You do have to level it up. Obviously you get things like in Epic 7, if we take a look, do I even have any here? I don't, because I used it all up. But you get lost gold dust fragments, lost gold fragments, lost light dust, and there's an epic version that provides provides gear XP. You can salvage pieces of gear for these. You also get them through dailies, and these can be used for any piece of gear. There's no limit of like, oh, well, I need a chest piece to level up a chest piece. Yo, I can level up these pieces of gear with any other piece of gear. There is a little bit of XP loss if you level up a piece of gear and then you try to use that leveled piece of gear to level another piece of gear. I believe it was like 20% in my testing, but overall, that is how it is. So realistically, you're going to want to still go with the classic Epic 7 style of leveling it up. You take it to +3. Are the stats good? You take it to +6. Are the stats good? You take it to +9. Are the stats good? Or is it bricked? So that's kind of the way that you'll end up having to do that as you go through the game. Obviously, early on in the game, who cares? You just need the gear to get through the stuff, to get better gear. So it's not really that big of a deal. I've got a lot of pieces of just absolute copium gear that had like a main stat that I needed. It's like, oh, I got a purple crit chest piece. Yeah, level it up. Who cares? Oh, I got a pair of speed boots. Yeah, level them up. Who cares about the substats, main stats over substats? And then set isn't really that big until you start min-maxing stuff. So overall, that is the definitive gear guide breakdown for Honkai Star Rail based on Epic 7. There's a lot. It's going to be a lot of gear grind, but it's a PvE game, so you don't have to really worry too much about it. Take it easy, take it slow, learn the game, enjoy the rest of it. Simulated Universe is super fun. The interesting thing too is that you can run, I don't know if I got the video out yet, but if it is, I'll link it. One simple way to get infinite Relic XP without ever spending a single Trailblazer point. You never have to spend energy to get unlimited Relic XP. One simple trick. mihoyo hates him for this. You'll have to see if it's linked in the description. But that's it for this video. As always, if you guys like this content, like, fave, subscribe, comment down below, share it out to help me beat the YouTube algorithm and become the next bootleg Tectone. I don't have a beanie yet. Maybe I just need to go shave my head. Maybe I need to become bald. Maybe that's how I'll be successful. Anyways, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy, homies. Peace out.
Cracky.